Yeah, I was going to say it's a great segue because, now is your mailbox going to be collecting information about you too? So, Henze, tell us about why you picked this article, what it's all about.
So this article, it kind of merges two emerging technologies or spaces that I'm interested in, which is blockchain and drones overall. So this partnership between DroneDekk, which is a mailbox, smart mailbox company, I guess you could call them that. They are partnering with Helium just to utilize their network for low broadband broadcast for some of their data to cut some savings, utilize a decentralized network as well in the Helium network. This Helium network is a bunch of nodes in a network. It can be owned by anyone, and you pretty much carry out information within this network. And so, what DroneDekk is doing with the drone delivery boxes or the overall smart mailboxes, it's a cool concept because now the data can be stored in a decentralized network. The user can own its own data by having one of these mailboxes or one of these nodes through the Helium network. They can own that outright. And if they want to sell the data for whatever purposes to different companies, there are different companies and marketplaces that are allowing that to happen so the common man can get a piece of the pie. This also factors in another concept where you can now be notified when your mail and everything is in the mailbox, and it just makes the mail process a lot easier. But you now introduce a monetary component with the introduction of Helium and their blockchain component, where anyone can now earn from their mailbox. And that extends into now with drone delivery expanding, you can actually possibly sell your electricity. So every time that drone has to charge on the box, you get a piece of the pie with providing that accessibility with your mailbox being in that area. So it introduces a lot of new possibilities in the way that we do things, in the way that we connect to one another, in the way, and also in the way that our data is stored with this new blockchain technology and concept of decentralized networks where everyone owns, in a sense, their telephone pole or their node or their data center. And now you can do with it as you please, whether sell it or store it and keep it away. So I brought that up, and it was a great segue from our last conversation.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
what are you
definitely.
guys' thoughts?
It's funny people pick their individual articles, but there always seems to be a underlying theme. But before passing
Correct.
it off to Randy, I just want to provide another example. I don't know if you've heard of this protocol, Henze. It's called Render. So, a toy who provides rendering software for like 3D stuff.
Okay.
They allow you to use your computer to render other people's 3D assets who don't have computers as good as you, and they give you a token in return. So, a
Correct.
very, very similar system here with Helium. Now, whether or not the economics actually do pay the person out, it might be worth it to the person for all the other services to balance it, or say, like, even if it's cost negative, I get to own my ISP, right? So, if we're talking about privacy, it's an offset, even if it's not a total true negation of the cost that you have to invest in that. And that's what I think is interesting about proof of work systems that have tokens like this that are actually providing real work, right? It's not work towards creating Bitcoin or work towards solving random problems. It's work towards actual work. So I think that's an interesting kind of twist for protocols like Render and Helium in terms of what they're offering societally versus other tokens out there in the market. Not an endorsement, but just an interesting
No, no.
fact of how these are built versus kind of more common protocols. If we're being honest, most common protocols are either proof of stake or proof of work towards their own work. So, Randy, what do you think about this?
Well, I think it's exciting that um, that two really innovative technologies are coming together to try to do something or enhance both of their services with the blockchain technology and then drone delivery. And the whole concept of DroneDekk's mailboxes is really pretty exciting in terms of how they plan to uh, sort of impact that might have on the actual built environment. So I think it's really exciting to see those two companies coming together and trying to create an integrated service. My experience is I think it's going to take a lot longer than what any of us ever really think about bringing those together. Just my experience in the whole smart cities initiative.
Mm.
I remember maybe it was 15 years ago where Microsoft contacted the city of Tampa and wanted to unveil a plan, bringing us into the whole smart cities initiative. They have a big program at the time, and they were trying to get their foot in the door in local governments. And it just took a long time to try to understand the concept, how things are going to talk to each other, where the data goes, and we're still on a local level still struggling. So I think it's a great first step. It's really interesting to see these something that on the surface didn't look like it had any interface at all. All of a sudden they found some commonality
Yeah.
where they both could get some benefit out of it. So I really wish them a lot of luck and moving forward. I think there's quite a bit of challenges though in moving forward, but it's great that they have a good first start.
Yeah, but I guess I don't know. I guess maybe I'm obtuse. I don't really understand how this is going to work as a practical matter. If it's all like, so we talk about infrastructure. Who's paying for that? So if it's the individual landowner that's going to invest in the DroneDekk mailbox as an example, and then using this this service from Helium, they own their own ISP. Then how does a company, for example, like Amazon, or even let's just say DroneUp, right, working for Walmart, delivering things, how does that work? In other words, everybody talks about the cost of drone delivery, right? There's been some groups like in North Carolina, for example, who aren't really charging for it. Everybody's like, that's not sustainable. They just want the public to get used to it. But if there's almost like a surcharge, like literally to charge the drone on these decks by individual landowners, then that's just going to increase, I would think, increase the delivery price for everybody, unless, like you said, Henze, it's like offset from, in other words, if Amazon's going to deliver to my DroneDekk outside my house, and they're going to land there and charge, then whatever that delivery charge was going to be, they knock off a couple bucks because I just let them charge. Okay, maybe that works, maybe that doesn't. I just don't know when you have all the individual nodes, holistically, how, as a practical matter, it will actually work. And maybe there's, I don't know, maybe
Yeah,
Henze, you can explain it to me better.
Yeah, I can. Sorry, I guess my light just cut off on me. But nonetheless, your node does more than just that, right? So, for example, right now, the node in itself is keeping the network going. So you're earning just passively, whether you're receiving a delivery or not. And then also there are plans. Actually, Helium just had a partnership with T-Mobile as well as T-Mobile as well as Dish to provide cellular network as well using those nodes. So you'll be able to earn through that as well. Now, I get what you're saying on just the price analysis or cost analysis on the drone delivery side. It may be very tight, or you're introducing another cost factor that may make it impossible for these companies to come in. But for the end user, in my mind, it makes sense now that my mailbox can be a mailbox, a telephone pole, or a node within a blockchain, all in one, and I can also earn from that, as well as keep my data safe within that if I don't, want to opt into providing that data to these companies that are utilizing it.
Yeah,
That's my
it's
thoughts
like
on
a
it.
package deal for the work you're doing to help support not only the blockchain network for this particular coin, but you're providing internet service Uh-oh. And you're also providing basically a mini heliport for drone deliveries, right? And then on top of that, they were saying charging. So if the benefit, Don, if I'm a drone delivery service provider, or why I would even tap into the system if it's available, is I don't have to pay for the drone's battery that it's going to waste to fly back, right? We could leave them kind of distributed on the network and let our logistics handle which drone is going to be doing pickup and drop off based on where it's been charging. So it actually, in that sense, is a pretty decent decentralized solution, and kind of, if it works, but it's very hard with decentralized stuff to get things to a certain scale. But if it works, it actually does leapfrog over a lot of the issues around planning and coordinating planning that Randy was alluding to. So
Henze had a point, I think.
yeah,
Yeah, there's one more component too. There's one more idea that's being thrown around there, actually tested, and using some of these nodes as a tool to help companies get BVLOS waivers. So because the nodes can transmit data, it's almost like you would always have your closest node would be your closest data point, or your connectivity would be limitless in a city that were full of these nodes overall. So you can actually demonstrate safe practice, safe flight, things of that nature. So it may be beneficial to explore some of these ideas with having a decentralized network, as well as providing some connectivity to more rural areas. Start getting some of these smart nodes out there that utilizes internet